Hello everyone, good evening
Hello.
Good evening, Nixon.
and thanks for participating for this session and I'm
Yes,
grateful for this.
no problem.
So getting on today's session, I'm sharing my slides. So my title would be Do's and Don't in the Kitchen. It's regarding about this kitchen safety. Hope you guys would have a little bit fun. And yeah, just a second, I'll share my screen with you all guys. So yeah, there you go. You guys can view my screen.
Mhm.
Sorry, Nixon. Haven't used
Eh,
my. I supposed to use my lens. So is it okay? Can you make it bigger for me? I can't see.
okay, yeah. I forgot to ask. Apart from Hema, is there anyone who has got any special needs? Because I remember Hema was requesting for a little bit of assistance in the because of her eyesight. She's have a little bit of bad eyesight, so I will assist her. Apart from her, is there anyone who's got a problem, like who has got special needs before we start the session?
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
Okay, so Hema, if in that case you just said that you are not seeing a little bit properly, so I'm gonna zoom it a little bit.
Yep.
Just so does that helps a little bit?
Oh yes.
Just a
Yes. Much
second.
better.
So I'm gonna drag and do these things for you if you need it. So yes, the title would be Kitchen Safety Do's and Don'ts. So basically what we are going to talk about is kitchen safety that we use in our commercial kitchen. And the contents for today is, so yeah, the first topic that we're going to talk about is wearing safe clothing and shoes while working inside the kitchen. The second one would be how to extinguish fire in case we have got a fires while working inside the kitchen. The third one would be how to use knives. And the fourth one would be how to prevent burns and bruises while we are working. For fifth one would be washing hands and cleaning the working area. Sixth one would be how to use the like certain specific way to stir and lift away utensils from you, like from your directions. And yeah, uh, there are other few topics, so we'll go one by one. The second slide, we're gonna start with our wearing safe clothing and shoes. So this is the picture. I think some of the participants knows this picture because I also use this picture in one of my other session. And I'm gonna zoom a little bit for this one for Hema. Hema,
Thanks,
are you
Nixon.
able to see this?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a
Yep.
little bit blurred.
Yeah. This is okay. I can read
You'll
personal
be able to read
hygiene.
this?
Yep.
Okay. So if you see this picture, this is a proper attire for a chef. So from top to bottom, left hand side is this is the do's that we do, and the right hand side is the don't that we avoid. If you see from the top, the hat is properly tucked up. There's no hair coming out. If you see the ear, there is no earrings, there is no necklace, nothing jewels is allowed while working inside the kitchen because there's always a risk that it gets accidentally falls into the food and it might destroy your food or it get contamination. So yeah, and
Sorry, next,
yes,
what about your wedding ring? You cannot allow it to have wedding ring as well?
nah, actually nothing at
Nothing
all.
at
You
all?
should be empty-handed.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's
in my
nothing
kitchen, what they do, because like most of the people, they don't want to take the engagement ring out. So what they do, they just use the masking tape and tape it so it won't move. Make sense?
Yeah, that
So
that
that's
will
it.
be one of the tricks that can be done, but still there's always a risk. Even if you use a masking tape, it doesn't guarantee that the masking tape doesn't fall apart. When you use the water, it gets soaked up and again it gets torn apart. So it's the advice is it's avoid you try to avoid wearing those kind of jewels that has a risk to fall inside the food. Sometimes even you won't be knowing that it's already fallen and it's already in the food, and you will be looking all over the places. So one of the example that if I have to explain is, it's not from the kitchen. So one of the customer, he lost his ring, right? Now he complains to the waiter, his ring is lost, and he tries his convince the waiter if he could search if it's fallen inside the bins or something like that, right? Now the waiter has to pull all the bins out with his gloves on. This kind of things happens. There's always a risk. It's not only the kitchen, it's out of the kitchen as well. This kind of things happens. So that's why for this food safety, it's better not to wear it. So far so good. Okay, if you see this pictures, let's go to the don't part. The hair is coming out. There's always a risk that the hair falls in the food. So no hair should be wearing outside. It shouldn't be like the proper white cap. You can also sometimes wear just a hat or anything that is like disposable cap, anything that hides your hair. And yes, it should be cleaned. If you see the right part, the cloth is filthy, it's torn apart. A guy is wearing slippers, which is totally wrong. You should wear shoes in order to prevent getting slippery, to prevent from if any hot food stuff falls down, it helps you not to burn. And even sharp objects, sometimes there are sharp objects on the floor, and if you step on it, you might get hurt if you wear slippers. But if you wear proper shoes, it will prevent you from hurting. So yeah, this is one of the personal hygiene that we need to follow for the sake of food safety. So I'm going to the next slide. Emma, please tell me if you will be needing any zooming, okay?
Yeah, I can hear you so much better now. Yeah.
The third one is how to use knives in the kitchen. Sorry, the third slide would talk about how to extinguish fire if there's in case of fire in kitchen. So there's like high chances of having a fire when we cook the food. It's in the pan and it's in the like stove areas, within the kitchen itself sometimes. So how do we use safety measures for those kind of stuff? For like minor fire, like say, we are cooking food in the pan. Sometimes there is chances there's a fire in the pot or pans. How should we extinguish? Any suggestions? Anyone?
Water?
Let's look at this picture. There's a fire on the pot. How would you?
Close it with the lid.
Yes, that's one thing you can do. Or you can use also, like there is agents, like chemicals or anything that, let's say, extinguishes there. If it's uncontrollable, the fire is really uncontrollable, then you have to use fire preventing measures. So this is a fire extinguishers. You can also use a fire mat. And there's also some kind of agent that you can just pour it like a sand. You can use sand.
You even get a fire blanket because usually in the kitchen,
Yeah, fire
next to the fire extinguisher, there is a fire blanket, so you can throw that fire blanket on top of anything. Yeah, if you got a
Yeah, that's
fire,
right, problem. Yeah, and that's if it's uncontrollable, just there's two measures, extinguisher and fire blanket is always kitchen safety measures is always there. We can use when, like Praveen said, we can use those kind of stuff if we need to.
And guys, never put any water here. Where if there is a fire in your kitchen or anywhere, never put fire like water straight away because it burns like big. So you never use water when your pan is on fire or if you got like fire in your kitchen.
Is
Good to know.
fire blanket will help with the oil, like fire oil? Because one time my I left it in the kitchen. Oh my goodness! Lucky it wasn't burned the whole house, and but it was trying to cook or something like deep fry, and the oil was the fire was like high up, like.
No, I feel like if it's totally uncontrollable and the fire is too high, you need to call straight away to emergency. And the small blanket or small fire extinguisher won't help you. It's just for the sake of the fire that it's controllable.
You know what?
It depends on the level of fire as well.
The oil is firing. How can you? Is there something that you can stop it? Because I have fire extinguisher in the house, but I don't know if it works with the oil or not.
It does.
Yeah, I think it works.
Depends how big is the fire too. Depends how big is the fire.
Yes.
Okay, so it will work. Okay, oh, good.
Yeah, it will. But
If it's too small, it works. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. So
and
that's how we work with.
Guys, use the deep fry. Make sure you change the oil quite often because when the oil goes really greasy, it catches fire really quick. Because I have noticed most of the places like they don't clean the deep fryer quite often, and it gets really greasy, and then it catches on fire. That's one of the common.
That's one thing. Yes, problem because there are people their kitchen that they don't change the deep fried oil. And even the outer surface area, the deep fry is the oils get spilled all over the places, and they don't get the proper cleaning done. Because of that, there's a high chances there's a fire happening thing. So yeah, we need to be very cautious while we work inside the kitchen and needs to clean the things properly. Especially this kind of stuff can happen, fire and things, and especially the oil is really good for the fire. We have to clean properly. If like even in the domestic kitchen, in our home kitchen, we spill the oil around the stove area, right? And I think it's better to clean as soon as turn it off and clean it properly. Even like at the end of the night, it's better to clean it up because early in the morning, if someone doesn't know and start the stove, and there's chances that it gets burned, the area gets burned. So we need to be careful and just clean it up.
Okay.
Yep. Right. It's not only the commercial, it's like domestic as well. Some of the tips will also be useful in this presentation for house purpose. The next thing, for the kitchen safety, the other thing that we need to consider about is washing hands and sanitizing. So basically what we do inside the kitchen is before we start working, we wash our hands. We wash our hands like the proper way that some of the guy also taught about washing hands properly in the last couple of sessions. I think we follow the same procedure. Get the soap, make it froth with the warm water, all of the place, nails, between the nails, all of the place, wash it. Then yeah, in the between, like every time it may not be possible for us to wash hands. Sometimes it's not filthy, it's okay, but sometimes it may go, but in such conditions, you can use sanitize as well.
But I think
sanitizing the tables is really important. Like, yes,
full of alcohol, I think, Nixon.
Yeah.
So you need to be really careful while using the sanitizer in the kitchen. I have noticed that like a couple of places they had, like I have seen people catching their hand on fire because of the sanitizer, because it's full of alcohol.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to be careful about. So yeah, also what we use sanitizer is for, at the end of the day, we clean the table with a soapy water, hot soapy water. After that, what we also do is to make sure it's to lessen the bacterial infections, we sanitize the table as well to maintain the safety. And also between, like, in order to avoid contaminations, like let's say if you use the kitchen table for the purpose of cutting meat, while you pack it down, you need to start on like after that you need to cut the vegetable, let's say. So before cutting the vegetables, you need to clean the table with the soapy water and again use the sanitizer. Then the table gets clean. Then you start with the chopping vegetables. In that way, we use sanitizing method in the kitchen. And so yes, and also proper stirring. So there are lots of pots and pans we need to use inside the kitchen. So it's a big pot. And lots of steam is coming out. There's a hot sauce on the pot, right? Now, the proper way to stir the pot and the things inside the pot is like steer away from you. Try to steer from you. It's because if you, let's say if you steer towards to you, the splash may come inside to you. So, and you may get some burns, right? Getting it?
Yep. And I found out the steam burn is the worst than the normal.
Yeah, steam burn is the really worst. And also, like let's say you are steam cooking, like there's a lid on the pot, right? And it's like very hot. You face towards the pot and you pull out the lid, the steam might straight goes into your eyes and into your face. So that's why always keep your like posture away from the, try to keep away from the pots and the pans so that you don't get a burn. That's one of the cautions that you can take. Even in the domestic, even the kitchen, in the home, you need to be alert about this, right?
Mhm.
I hope.
Lots of
it's
hazard
getting-
in the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
Lots of hazard in the kitchen.
Lots of hazard. Too many. Really.
With that
So, yeah,
steam one, I always get that, with the steam one. Oh,
Yeah, sometimes like we don't take caution. I sometimes our mind is not in there, and we might get a burns. So yeah, let's move on to the next slide. The other thing is don't use metal utensils on non-stick pans or Teflon pans. I think, any idea that what's gonna happen if you use, like, take a metal spoon, take a Teflon pan, on the Teflon hot pan, you're cooking something and use a metal spoon. What's the chances of hazard?
are you
What's
talking
gonna
about
happen?
the material which comes out if you use that
You're
spoon?
gonna
Chipping.
Yeah. So let's say causes flaking or chipping of the Teflon layers. So yeah, what's gonna happen is, let's say you use the metal spoon, scratch, the Teflon layers comes out, it gets contamination with the food. Your food gets bad. Simple. And
And
at
the
the same
other
time,
thing I've noticed, next
Yeah,
time the pan
probably.
is not gonna be sticky
Yes,
after
non-sticky.
that. If you use the
and it gets contaminated
then it's
again and
not-
again and again. So yeah, most of the in kitchen, like a couple of dishwasher, there are kitchen hands who does the dishwashing, and sometimes they use metal scour in the Teflon layers of pots and pans, and I don't know, they don't know about it. They use the metal scour on those kind of things, and they just destroy the utensils. And after that, it's no use for us.
Yeah, it will
So, yeah.
stick up.
Yeah, and it keeps sticking on, yes. So yeah. Next thing, by this time, I think most of the people know this picture, right? Color coding
Yeah.
chopping boards. So user for color chopping boards for different food items.
I
Yeah.
remember. The color
So let's see if anybody remembers. What do we use for, let's say, this brown, dark brown,
dark
not
brown
light
for
brown.
cooked meat.
Cooked meat, yes.
Cooked meat.
correct.
Yes, that's true. But what if it's like cooked chicken?
The yellow one. Oh, I don't
So,
know.
yeah.
Cooked chicken, yellow one or brown one? Oh, no,
So
brown.
basically, what is
Brown one.
for chicken?
Cooked chicken,
Normally, yes,
brown?
Yes, brown. Because the
Brown.
raw one
Normally
is
cooked
like
food, yes, cooked chicken we use brown, not the yellow ones. The yellow ones is
Okay.
always for the raw poultry stuff.
Only the
raw chicken.
yellow. Okay.
What about the blue one?
Seafood. Yeah.
Seafood, yes. Seafood items. And what about the white?
Bread and milk.
Bread.
Bread, milk, yeah. Yes, so the purpose of this color coding is stop the contamination, try to avoid the contamination from one food item to another. That's the only purpose. Right? And yeah. And I think I missed one of the slides somewhere around. So just checking if we have gone through everything so far yet before we proceed further. Yes. So other thing is, what I missed was, let's say if you've got a hot pot, how would you move or how would you mobilize those kind of utensils?
What's
How
that,
would you
sorry?
move? How would you move like hot stuff from one place to another?
Moving
You
away
use
the
like
hot
a holder, I don't know what do you call in English, but I have something like, it's not a tongs. It's not, I don't know. I have metal thing to hold it.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it works. That's work.
I
That
mean,
works.
what is
But-
that? Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But the
Back
common
home,
thing, yes,
yeah.
Praveen.
It's hard to find that one here, but yeah, back home we use, it's like a hook, it catches the part and you can move on, yeah.
So let's see. The thing that we do, common thing is use a tea towel.
The tea towel and move it like that. And then if you need someone's assistant, you can ask someone to help you to carry that.
Yes, so tea towel. But also make sure the tea towel is dry. If you use
Yeah,
a wet tea
otherwise
towel,
Then you steam and then you will burn yourself really bad, yeah.
that's right. And
The one-
also, what
one we
for the
use-
precautions, what we can also do is, yes, Jigisa, you were saying something.
No, I was showing the one we use. I said I'll show you.
Okay.
The metal one, we have it. Hang on. Maybe Rian hasn't seen it that yet.
It's a kind of
Oh.
hook, isn't it?
You have seen it.
It's kind of hook. I think I remember. We used to use the same thing back in our home.
It's like this.
Oh,
You hold it. You hold with this.
okay.
But Jiggy, one of the hazard is that you might destroy your pot sometime.
If someone using first time, maybe it's scary. But I think for I've been using for years now. But there is a hazard. Of
Jiggy,
course.
we used to use that, but what that thing did later was like it bent the layer of the pot, so it was like all the zigzag.
Yeah.
So you might have to buy a new utensils sooner if you use that one again and again.
Yeah.
But yeah, also one of the caution that you can take is when you heat up the pot and pan, there's a handle, right? Try to put those handles away from the heat. So put the pot in the balance where let's say you are cooking your pot in a stove, right? Let's not put the stove like beside, let's put the pot in the between of the fire. Sometimes we don't remember this. Like sometimes in my kitchen, I put the handles at the side of the fire accidentally, and I don't realize, and I just try to, even if I take a tea towel, it's hot, right? Sometimes it gets burned. When you catch it, you'll get burns. So the small thing, but very hazard preventing tip. Put the pots or pans in the fire not side of the fire. In that way, it helps. Right?
It happens
Get,
a lot in the kitchen. Notice that too, because there is a hot pan on top of the stove, and someone comes and catches the pan, and then they burn themselves really bad. I have noticed that lots of times. So, like most of the kitchen, what they do, some of the places they put a little bit of flour or salt. Because each and every kitchen they have got their rules, and if someone like some places they even put tea towels, so they know that pan is really hot, so they can carry with using the tea towel. Yeah, I have noticed like in heaps of kitchen. That's one of that.
So it's like a notice that this is hot or something like so
yeah,
be
communicating is also one of the way. Like this is hot.
Oh,
Like someone's working
yeah.
beside you. Just let them know that the pot is hot. Be careful.
And that's why hot pan behind. They got a couple of the rules in the kitchen. If someone is walking behind you with the sharp knife, they say like sharp knife behind you, and then like if someone is like say behind you and all that. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So behind you is one of the common thing that we normally speak every second or every time when we pass someone's behind.
Yep.
So it's just like letting them know that we are behind you. Don't burn us or don't hide us. Or
Yeah, I
like,
had an accident before. You know, I was running. I was so little that time. My auntie was going with the boiling milk, and she was turning and she didn't see me, and all the milk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a very bad burn that time.
Yeah, that sort of things happen. So yeah. One of the slide that I think I'm messed up somewhere. One of the point is like using knife, and after that we go for our questionnaires to see like what are the things that you are able to take in through this presentation. So before that, one of the thing is like using knife. Normally there's a like specific way to use a knife, and there's a proper knife to do certain jobs, like specific jobs. Let's take an example, like if you're chopping vegetables, there's a specific knife, like long ones, not too long ones, like the normal, like
You can get a vegetable knife. You can get it like
a table knife. Yes, it's a table knife. That's the knife you're going to use. Now, the same knife can't be used to cut the breads, right? We have to use a serrated knife.
Serrated, yep.
And listen, sometimes you might have to use the knives that's more specific for cutting the fish, right?
Yeah.
So that's
so it's like flexible, like behind the bones, and you get all that meat off. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, there is a specific knife for each and every job in the kitchen, and
that's
it's for
right. That's right. But the basic thing that we can take from our experiences, let's say you are cutting the vegetables. There's a proper way. You position your finger and your hands. Praveen, would you like to share your ideas about this? How would you, since you work in the same...
What I do when I
like
do the
fingering positions and your hand positions.
Yeah, usually you just push your... so if you are right-handed, what you do is like when you're chopping the vegetable, you just push your hand with your knife. Like, makes sense? So you don't... and then while you're chopping it, make sure you don't bring your finger. So while you're chopping it, make sure it's like that. So you don't... can you see my finger?
Yes. Yeah. So basically, not like this.
Push it, yeah.
So your
You just push it
your
with
knuckles
the
should be facing
knife,
your knife base. So this is a knife, and you're cutting everything. So your knuckles should prevent your fingers. Not like this, like this. So when you cut it, in that way you prevent your fingers, and also it positions your blades straight in that way, and so your chopping gets much more easier, and you just smoothen your knife movements like this. Okay. That's the way. All right. That's the basic thing, that how you position your finger and your knife.
Okay.
So, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because sometimes I cut my nail when I chopping some vegetables.
Yeah, that's why Yeah, that's why you need to have it like you don't need you need to have it like that. So when you chop it, you just push it with your knife. And like I have seen most of the people, what they do is like bring their thumb in front, and then most of the time you chop your thumb. Thumb is like thumb and this finger. So you need to have it like you can't.
Yeah,
so
you need to hide your nails.
Yeah, hide it like pretty
Yes.
much, and then push it with the knife.
It might be a little bit difficult at first start, but as you go on, you'll get really easy movements.
Yeah, it's easy to demonstrate it with vegetable and all that. Yeah, it's easier that way.
So what do
So
you
yeah,
mean
I
by
think
the thumb at front? How is it? You
just hide it like this. So
So
Jiggy,
hide
this
it
is
behind. Like, look at that. I've got a
so
thumb.
this is the
coming here.
knife. So these are knuckles. Just hide it like this. Yeah, hide all the fingers you can.
I have to see what
Got
I
it,
how I
Jiggy? Okay, it's not like this. Like this.
okay.
So, that's the couple of do's and don'ts that I wanted to share with you, and hopefully you guys have a good couple of tips to use at your home as well. But before ending our session, I would like to ask some questions if you have got something from this training session, right? So let's like question number 1. So let's see, what's the topic that we discussed today?
Do's and don'ts in kitchen.
Right. Now, what's the purpose of like having a safe clothing and shoes? Any examples?
Yeah, always wear protective shoes. Always make sure you got a proper uniform in the kitchen. Make sure you got a proper hat.
Yep.
No jewelries.
Yep.
No jewelries.
Clean
No
clothes.
thongs.
Yes.
No barefoot.
Shoes.
No tongue.
And no
Yep, that should be
perfumes,
enough. I
even-
think you guys got it right. So another one is, how would you prevent fire while you get a fire in a pan?
Blanket.
Fire
Yes, one.
Blanket.
fire extinguisher.
or
Or
extinguisher.
closing the pot lid.
Yep, that's right. The next question, like, how would you prevent burn while using pot and pans? 1 or 2 tips? Any 2?
Always steer the pot away from you.
Yes.
Make sure you don't make sure you're away from the pot. Makes sense. Don't like try to look inside what's happening, because it might bubble and then you might burn your face.
Right. Good. And Hema, how about you? Any suggestions? What should we do while using pot and pans to prevent
Away
burning?
from the heat.
Yep. And also you can use some kind of tools like Jiggy
Oh
said,
yes.
tongues,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can also
Tea
use
towel.
Tea towel.
tea
Tea
towels,
towel.
dry tea towels. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one question that I would like to ask, something that I didn't, it's out of the box. I wanted to share a little bit as well. Remember, whenever you put something like hot glass, how would you like process? How would you put on a cold table or something like a warm surface? If there's a hot glass, right?
Mm.
Let's say if you've got a hot glass in your hand, you need to put somewhere. Would you prefer to put it in a warm surface or a cold surface?
I guess
Warm.
warm.
Warm surface.
Warm.
Any other word?
I don't know
I have
if it's
noticed, like, if
cold,
you put it in
maybe
the cold,
will
it's just gonna
the
break.
glass.
It's gonna break.
It's gonna break. Yeah.
I
That's
did
right.
that.
Now the scientific reason is contraction and expansion.
Yeah.
The basic reason is, so if you got a hot glass, if you put a hot surface, what's going to happen is the hot glass gets contracted, and that contraction and expansion, it gets cracked.
Yeah.
Getting it?
Yep.
Simple thing. And same thing, if you put, let's say, if you put a glass into a freezer, what's going to happen if you're full of water? The same thing, right? What's going to happen is bottle of water inside the glass bottle, put in the freezer. what's gonna happen is like it gets contracted, everything is get contracted, but the water, it's gets same volume. Glass is contracted, but the volume is the same. The glass gets break.
Yeah.
Good with that?
Yep.
That's why we never
Yep.
keep the glass stuff inside the freezer.
Mhm.
Now, color coding chopping boards. Once again, I have to ask you this question for the last time, I think. Which cutting board color? Which board should we use to process poultry foods like chicken?
All three is yellow, but raw one. If it's cooked one, then brown.
Right, good one. So, which cutting board should
Nixon.
we use to do vegetables?
Green for vegetables.
Okay, and the last one for the seafood.
Blue.
Food blue.
Right. So that's the end of my session. Hope you guys have a good one on this. I hope you had a good tips. So
Yes.
Thank you, Nixon.
Thank
It's
you,
very
Yeah.
Nixon.
yeah,
Very
I'm gonna
informative.
stop.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Thank you, Nixon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. So I'm gonna stop recording now, and thank you guys for participating this one for my session, and yeah. Thank you guys.
Yay.